machine, a veil over the eye. Grace is a lie, a script for the managed, a reason to die. It's the dementia, the spirit, it's the glitch in the code. It's the heavy, heavy baggage on a sovereign road. Dissolve the construct. Yeah, yeah. It started as a lie, a whisper in the dark, designed to keep the brothers from finding the spark. Father is a soul whose sovereign operating system was no longer whole. He didn't pull that trigger from his fully human place. The construct had the wheel, the construct ran the race. So stop fighting your father and dismantle the disease. If a lawyer wrote the code, the architect holds the keys. What was manufactured can be dismantled.
Great Wednesday. Welcome to the Fully Human Trinity podcast. I'm your host, King. I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Jess, Esther, and Mike Murphy. How you all doing today?
I'm doing great today.
And let's get started with our check-ins. What would you say your check-in spiritual energy level, Jess, being from 0, life sucks, to 10, man, life is awesome right now?
10, life is awesome. Life is awesome.
And Mike, what would you say your spiritual energy number is between 0 being life sucks and 10 being life is awesome right now in the moment?
Yeah, right now it's a 10. Everything is going good. I'm in the flow, feeling good.
Excellent, excellent. I join you both at a 10. I'm feeling great, and as any morning that I ever wake up and I'm not feeling great, just that first thought that pops in your head, I immediately think about my gratitude and what I'm grateful for. And when I go through that list, that puts me in gratitude, because I want to make sure I let everyone know it's not about adding that you got to think positive all the time or that you're going to think positive all the time. It's just that you want to be grateful all the time. That's the thing. And that gratitude energy will lead to positive thinking. So I believe it's the positive thoughts are the result of having a gratitude thinking. And as long as you can find gratitude in whatever it is you're dealing with in your day, I think that to me is a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to have some topics, or the topic we're going to talk about today, which is something that I know that's kind of near and dear to your hearts as well. But I had a conversation with a colleague of mine. We were talking about social media marketing and how the world has changed and gotten to where everything now is about the click and everything is about being disingenuous. That's accepted. As a matter of fact, that's how you're taught to be disingenuous. Come up with the most creative looking thumbnail with the most catchy title, and that's what you focus on. You don't care how long they last because Google pays you based off how many people click on your videos. Now you can get paid more based on the duration, but you can at least get to the point you can generate a relationship with Google based on how many clicks, not how long they last, but how many people actually click on your video. So because of that, a lot of people use whatever tactics they can use. A lot of people come so much that it's called clickbait. If you put something on your title or in your thumbnail that's disingenuous, the topic of what your video is about. And I know that for us, our purpose is love. It's serving with love, having love be a part of how we live our lives in some form of capacity every single day. The challenge is that I'm finding, and that's what I was explaining to my colleague, is that you can't market love. How do you market love? How do you say, well, I really do love you, listening audience, when you don't have the idea of who you're speaking to at any given time? And so I just kind of wanted to find out from you all, as former or current business owners who've built companies, who've managed employees, how do you go about finding love as a culture, or defining love as a culture and finding employees and or customers that are in line with that intentionality?
Okay, I'll go first. So number one is that whoever you are and whatever business you have, number one, you have to love yourself. Okay, until you love yourself, you're not going to be effective loving others. So that's first and foremost, is to find love for yourself and to really percolate that, live that, experience that, feel that, and be that, which is not an easy task. Most of us have all this self-talk that's the opposite of love. We're always beating ourselves up. But if you totally love yourself, then you're going to be more effective as being a loving leader, right? The other thing is you have to love the mission or the purpose or the goal, whatever your business is. You have to love that and personally, and then that becomes infectious. So assuming you have employees and you have customers, okay, if you love your mission and you love your purpose and you love yourself, that it's all frequency, right? It's all energy. So you're going to be giving off that energy, that frequency. Hey, this dude really loves himself. This dude really loves his business. This dude really loves what he's doing, his purpose, his mission, and therefore he really loves his employees and he really loves his customers. It's just, but you have to start there. It's an inside job at first, right? Mm-hmm. And then once people feel that and experience that, then it becomes contagious and even through osmosis. And it's not for everybody, okay? Not everybody's going to fit into this magnetic love purpose. And so you have to go through people to find people that are going to align with your thinking, with your mission, with your purpose. And when you do that, it's going to become very, very effective. Getting back to what you were talking about earlier, all this clickbait, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I quit watching Fox, CNN, and all this other bullshit many, many years ago because it's all propaganda and it's all commercials selling me shit I don't need, right? So, but now I'm finding the same thing with YouTube and alternative. I don't even want to deal with that shit anymore because I mean, you click on it, it's just false advertising. It's bait and switch all day long, and it gets old. I don't know what the next new thing is going to be, but I think the world is ripe now for sincere thumbnails and with real truth and real action. Today, the world is so noisy. I mean, I don't understand this world, honestly. I mean, who's creating all this content? Everybody's a content creator, and then who's consuming all this shit? And then who the hell's working? I mean, I don't understand the world anymore. It's all this content, and then we consume all this content. And are we becoming better people because of it? Is society becoming better of it because of it? Is the world becoming? I don't see it. I think we need to turn all this bullshit off, frankly, and get back into nature, get into our heart, get into our soul, and find something that's going to bring us not only success, because success without fulfillment is empty. You know, everybody's chasing success, but what are they chasing and why? You know, everybody wants money, but why? Everybody wants fame, but why? What is your agenda? What is driving you? What is your motivation? And is it one of service and compassion to those that are suffering? That, I mean, those people that do that kind of work are far and few between. We need more people doing that work that really care about the bigger picture here, that can step out of themselves and their own desires, their own wishes, and look at the greater group here. You know, for me, it's easy because I have 4 kids, 8 grandkids, and 2 more coming in August. So I look at the world that way. Okay, what can I do for my children and my grandchildren to leave this place a little better? Now, of course, I mean, I haven't always been like that. You know, when you're younger, I'm raising a family, I'm creating a business. So your focus shifts. As you get older, you know, you have to start looking at the bigger picture. But I don't understand people my age that are chasing fame and fortune. For what purpose? How many houses do you need? How much food can you eat? How many trips can you take? How many days of golf can you play? So for me, it's like, okay, now I'm in the latter half of my life. What can I do to make this place better when I'm getting ready to exit, right? And so when I'm getting ready to exit, what can I do to leave a better world for my children, my grandchildren, and all of humanity for that matter? Because I really don't differentiate between my biological family and my human family. To me, it's all pretty much the same. Of course, you know, I have more obligations and responsibilities to my children and my grandchildren, of course. But I don't see much difference between them and the rest of humanity, honestly.
That's powerful, Mike.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, I recall sitting with you for the first time, Mike, and hearing the ethics that you have within you and the love that you have for the work that you're doing and how important it is for the employees to be filled up. You even said it to me, like, I don't want you going and talking to the clients unless you've already had your own dose of self-love, because it's that love that's going to overflow and they'll feel that. So I don't really want them to have anything but that. So that becomes like the number one priority. And even when you're doing really critical work, like the coherent healing, that people come with a full heart, that they come regulated, that they come ready to be present, because that's what opens up the energy channel to this reciprocity field where we can give and receive, and all of us get our cups filled. It's kind of like when we have another child and we think, oh, I can't love the second child the way that I loved the first one. And then we, light a candle and see how a flame can expand from one candle to the next candle. And love is like that. It doesn't diminish the more that we put these candles together. It just expands. And so I can see that that's just in the center of who you are, Mike. And that's beautiful. And I also see from your sharing that there's a specific timing, and King talks about this a lot. It's like he's in the fourth quarter. We're in the fourth quarter. There's like a wreckage to wisdom that happened somewhere midlife. We call that the midlife crisis. And something changes in us from being like an energetic drain on the collective and just like me, my, I'm going to get my own, to shifting the perspective to, wait a minute, I'm not going to be here forever, and I can't just keep draining the system. And at some point I need to do something that's going to create some impact. And then kind of pointing out, oh, people that are in this stage of life who are still draining is what maybe we could look at.
Right.
Yeah. You both said some very powerful, impactful things. I was thinking about, Mike, you were talking about how you ended it with, you have an obligation to your immediate family, but you look at the entire humanity as being connected to and having compassion and empathy for. And the more I meet people and the more I encounter individuals, how that is lacking from people's thoughts. And people are becoming more focused on their identity and then siloed into whatever their identity tells you that your parameters are, who to love, who to hate. And people don't realize how the identity governs your beliefs and then your behaviors, and then obviously your choices, and a lot of times your ambitions as well. Jess, you and I talked about this, but I remember I was 6 or 7 years old. They asked me what I wanted to be, and I wanted to be an astronaut. Because at that time, I was uninhibited in my imagination, and that's what grew my affinity for Star Wars. But then you get older, you get told, well, no, you can't be an astronaut. Let's be a little more realistic. And they start putting the parameters on what you can and can't do. And some of that may definitely be associated with race. Other times, somebody might have been thought they were giving me helpful advice. They might have well intentions because their lives were so limited. They think they want to help me be more realistic, so to speak. But then again, everything you study from a spiritual context that talks about where divinity is and how to get into the kingdom of heaven. And if you believe that heaven's external, that's one thing. But if those who understand is internal, that you have to become like a child. And children are inquisitive. Children are curious. Children are imaginative. Mm-hmm. We can create worlds with, a friend of mine we can go outside and take 2 rocks and turn it into a 3-hour game chasing each other with those 2 rocks on the ground. Let our imaginations run wild. And that's the beauty of children. They have these things until we force that identity on them and say, no, this is how you must learn to conform to society. And I mention all this because that's what I see lacking in the messaging in today's messaging. Now, I've been able to train my algorithm. It's taken some time, and it fights me. But on YouTube in particular, only show me videos that are either positive, uplifting, or love related. I don't want any other videos that's not. And it's taken time and it's learned that what I want to see, and I see some miraculous things as a result. And that's what I feel that most people miss about technology, is that technology is a tool that's designed to be one of 2 things. It's either going to be useful or it's going to be controlled. There is no middle ground. And you have to choose which one you want technology, what role you want it to play in your life. Is it going to be a tool for you, or is it going to control you? Is your phone going to be a burden, or is it going to be an asset? And so with that being said, that's why I wanted to bring love into this, because we're building a movement based on becoming fully human ourselves first, as Mike talked about. You got to first start with yourself. So that's how much we have an alignment, Mike, because I love that answer. most people would jump right to telling someone else what they need to do. But you went, no, first you got to start with you. And that's the hardest thing that most people want to recognize is, and that's why I wanted to ask you this question, Mike. At what point in your life did you say, I'm no longer a victim anymore? Because I don't think you can think I need to change and be a victim at the same time. Am I correct or incorrect with that?
You know, to be honest, I mean, I'm not sure that I've ever fully accepted victimhood for a long period of time. Of course, we all have moments where we feel we got screwed over, or in my case, you know, most of the times it's my own doing that creates the drama or the pain and suffering in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the biggest issue in the world today is I was watching this show the other night called Yellowstone, right? And in the show that they adopt this messed up kid, 14-year-old kid, right? And they say, listen, kid, one thing you have to understand, you don't deserve anything. And I started really meditating and contemplating what do we deserve? Okay. I mean, you know, do we actually deserve anything, or do we need to earn everything? Do we need to become a powerful creator and create our lives? Or because you're either a creator or a victim is the way I see it. Of course, I've had moments where I felt like, oh, you know, I got screwed, but I don't stay in that state very long, even as a child, you know, because it's so limiting, and you're never going to create the life of your dreams if you're victim to everybody else's circumstances. It's impossible, right? And so this is a difficult conversation because I deal a lot with cancer patients, even with my own wife who had breast cancer at the age of 29. You know, how do you say to somebody, you know, you have to own that. You created that. You manifested that. People say to me all the time, you know, I'll say, oh, I have this issue over here. I have this. Well, Mike, you manifest. What are you doing in your life to manifest that kind of issue, challenge, or problem? Okay. And 9 times out of 10, I have to take a look at it and say, yeah, that's what I was doing to manifest this experience. But the truth is, we manifest everything in our life with our thoughts and our emotions. But no one ever teaches us this, right? So I was very, very fortunate at the age of maybe 25 or something to meet a man that taught me the power of your thoughts, the power of your imagination, where there's no difference between imagination and reality. Whatever you can imagine, you can create, but you have to have a technique, a strategy. So he taught me a strategy to create an intention as if what do you truly want from your heart's perspective, not from this crazy thing here. What do you really, really want in your life, and why? Okay. And then create an intention, 1 or 2 paragraphs, write out. How many people actually write down a plan for their life? Okay. You know, we spend more time planning our vacation, our summer vacation, we do planning our damn life. Right. And so without a plan, you're never going to materialize anything. You're just, you know, I used to listen to a guy named Zig Ziglar way back in the day. Right. And he said, you're either a wandering generality or a meaningful specific. Okay. Until you become a meaningful specific, you're all over the place. You're not going to create or manifest anything that you truly desire. You have to sit down, get quiet, get still, go inside, say, okay, what is it I truly want? And what this man taught me is you break your life into different categories, right? Because we're multifaceted. You know, we have financial, we have relationships, we have health, we have all these other things. So around these, what he gave me was 6 subjects. Create a powerful intention for each one. So in my case, what did you want more? I wanted a relationship, right? So let's put it down as if it actually exists. Because once you do that, it does exist in the field of infinite possibilities. And so then the intention is the electricity that goes into the field, and the heart is the magnet that draws it back. And we live in an electromagnetic world. And so it's just, from a common sense standpoint, it just made total sense to me. But I had no faith in this other than the fact I was desperate. So I just did what the man told me. I followed the simple little instructions, and everything in my life changed, and everything in my life became much more beautiful, successful, in spite of the difficulties of life. I learned to overcome those. And so it's so important that we realize that we are powerful creators, and that we actually came here. You know, this is where it gets a little woo-woo and a little more difficult to accept for some, perhaps. But when you realize that, yes, you know, odds are, okay, I'll say odds are that when I was not in body and form, when I was just pure spirit, okay, I believe that there's other souls in a soul family, in a spirit family, and that we plan these experiences to come here into 3D reality, okay, which is just one frequency of many, right? We live in the frequency of light, which is 1% of all frequencies. So what's going on right here? Okay, we don't know because we can't access it, because all of our DNA is not turned on, or because we're not spiritual. I don't know why we can't access it, but the truth is we can't access. Dogs can hear things we can't hear. People see things that we can't see, right? So it's all about expanding our consciousness and evolving and realizing that we have the power to create what it is we truly want. Most of us never even spend the time to find out what we truly want. We're chasing shit that our parents programmed into us at 6 years old or 7 years old, or some teacher programmed into us, or some relationship person, right? So we never get clear on what do we truly want, and why am I here, and what am I supposed to be doing? What do I need to learn? What is my purpose? What's going to fulfill me? Because it's all about fulfillment. If you want contentment, you don't chase happiness, you don't chase money, you don't chase. It's all an inside job. And when I can get comfortable in my own skin and love myself and realize how this law of attraction really works and how I can vibrate at these certain frequencies, and we're magnets, guys. The heart is a magnet. It's probably the most powerful magnet there is, right? So we just draw this to us when we're clear about who we are and what we want. And that's the miracle of this place. And this is how everything works. Look at nature. You plant something into the ground and out comes something else, right? So this is how everything works here. But we get so complicated, and we are never taught the truth about this system here. And so we're all messed up, and it's getting crazier and crazier and crazier as we open this technology. I think the best thing we could all do is turn off these devices, go out into nature, sit under the sun, ground the Mother Earth, and ask God, or ask Source, or ask our angels, or ask our guides, help me here. What am I supposed to be doing? What is going to serve my life? And see how it feels, see how it resonates, and get clear on that, and then just go do it. It's really, I know I'm oversimplifying this shit because life is difficult. I get it. We all have other problems to deal with. But the truth of the matter is we need to simplify all this shit and get into our heart and our soul and realize that there's lots of help out there. We just need to ask.
You said a lot there, definitely. And I was thinking about when you were talking about getting out in nature, how Mountains of Hope is set up for that purpose with the intentionality. And I think about the conversations Jess and I have had about her going outside, so I need to get myself grounded, and just getting out in nature, and how that intention is something you look forward to. So Jess, I kind of wanted you to piggyback on something Mike said there about your own choices to get out in nature, how important it is to your daily rhythms in life.
Yeah, it's been essential. It's like at the center of my life. I have focused my career on autism, and working with the children on the spectrum has shown me my own neurodivergent abilities. And part of that is that I tend to get really wound up inside. I can only spend so much time indoors in front of a screen and in front of a light before I feel like I have springs in my hips and I need to start bouncing around and moving. Some people would call that ADHD. But there are a lot of labels that we have on the spectrum that I think just come down to a biological imbalance. And really that's what Mountains of Hope is there to support, is just like to come back into homeostasis. And so what I learned in working with children was that when the body becomes frustrated, irritated, kind of down in the lower frequencies, agitated, stressed, that those are perfect signals to not like sit down, shut up, figure it out, to not focus harder, to not like will your way out of it, to not have brain power and learn hard. Those are all the programs I received as a student. I've learned to listen to those body signals and go outside. And I learned it from one student in particular. I remember she was a safety problem in a school because she kept running. and runners get kicked out of schools faster than anyone else. The behavior is called elopement. It's a high danger because they can just run out into the street. So schools don't want to keep them enrolled, which is understandable. But that's really where my expertise lies, in supporting people with emotional regulation. And so I had one student where every time she would do this breakout, I noticed that she would go to the specific area of dirt. It was a deep color dirt. And if I just let her do it, just let her put her hands in the dirt, let her put her face in the sun, and just like get present with her, not scold her, you ran out again, not deal with a punishment, not, all these other things that we got in our programming that like your behavior is bad. But understanding like you're having that behavior because your system's literally detached from the system. Like if this is a light frequency grid and we're like held within this one stream where we can connect to this reality, there are some of us that actually get disconnected. And so playing in the dirt and having her sun in the face would actually allow her to come back into connection, where then she's asking for that guidance and she's receiving it directly. And children do, they just open themselves up and they're like, what now? And then she'll be like, okay, let's go study, blah, 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 and now she's like clear and she knows her intention and she's going to go in and get it. And so I started applying that for myself as a business owner and going into the computer world and then seeing like, oh, now I'm going to run outside and get some dirt. It became my process, and I developed a whole program around it that I was implementing with Mike at Mountains of Hope for the patients there. Just, normalizing this need for nature, whether you're an infant or a senior. And one of the videos that we showed the patients there was about a boy who had leukemia, and he had been stuck in a hospital room for a year, and he got his like Make-A-Wish Foundation wish. And the one thing he wished for was to go to the lake with his friends. That day put him into remission. So that's what has me connected to nature more than anything. It's like part of my new programming is like 3 times a day, I'm going to disconnect from all of this technology and the do, and I'm going to go regenerate my energy system through nature connection.
That's powerful that you share that, Jess, because again, I'm in alignment with you and Mike in that space. I just want to add this, and I want to play a little short 3-minute video that I came across in my YouTube algorithm that speaks directly to what we're talking about. And I want to get you all's thoughts on it. But I wanted to say this point first. The reason I kind of shifted away from love conversation to the authenticity conversation is what we're talking about. How to be authentic is nature grounds you to the authenticity. And that's why I want our listening audience who may have missed that. That's where we're saying that before you can really be of love, you got to get in the rhythm of how to get into your own self and get out of your head, and nature is one of the best ways of doing that. So I just want to keep people present to that. So let me play this video for you real quick. This gentleman breaking down the importance of getting in nature and how it impacts and affects the brain.
Is destroying your brain's visual system. And I'm going to use the modern world is destroying your brain's visual system. And I'm going to use neuroscience to prove it. I'm also going to give you 3 neuro hacks, which you can start doing today to improve your brain's visual focus and attention. You're supposed to blink 15 times per minute. But guess how many times you blink when you're staring at a screen? Only 5 times per minute. That's alarming, because blinking resets the brain's visual system to enhance focus, because there's these sudden changes in light patterns. And even when you go outside, you stare at an artificial world. Houses, cars, buildings, streets. These visual stimuli are way too simple and linear for the human brain. It doesn't get enough dopamine from them. So no wonder most people are unhappy, and they get their dopamine fix by being addicted to bad habits. So here are 3 neuro hacks you can do today to 10x your brain health and improve your visual focus and attention. Number 1, create a habit of consciously blinking when you are working in front of a computer. Number 2, take a break. Go in nature so you can be around fractals. Fractals are these geometric patterns you find in nature which have the perfect complexity for the human brain. Our brains have evolved to love fractals. In fact, even a 3-year-old baby can recognize fractals. And the last brain hack, thread a needle. Threading a needle improves your focus through microsaccades. Microsaccades are these very tiny eye movements that are happening all the time. And so when you force your brain to regulate the frequency of microsaccades by threading a needle, you get an activity that improves the sharpness and acuity of your brain.
So I just want to get you all's thoughts on that video based on our conversation.
Well, the one thing I would add that I know that's very factual is, so for example, I'm looking at this computer screen, right? So it's a rectangular, all straight lines. I'm looking at the box within it on your StreamYard thing, all straight line. There's no straight lines in nature. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of nature. There are no straight lines. And then I forget the code, but you know, there's it starts with an S and I'm going to get screwed up, but like look at a snail. Okay. And the geometry, there's sacred geometry and there's numerology. The whole universe is made with zeros and ones. Okay. This 3D reality is very, very fragile system here. Right. But the truth is, the matter is that we're stuck in this now with this thing. It started with the television. Before that, it was radio waves. And so we need to get into nature. You know, you can charge your cell phone. You can plug into a tree. A tree puts off enough electricity to charge your cell phone. Okay. Everything is electrical. Everything is atoms vibrating at a certain frequency. And so that's why this nature is so important. What this man is so talking about. You watch these little children today and you put them on an iPhone for a couple hours. I mean, for a couple minutes, and then take it away. You can just see the brain is just lost.
Yeah.
And when you remove it, it's like literally taking a crack pipe out of their hands.
Right.
They become so addicted so quickly because of all this stuff. The brain is not supposed to handle this. We're supposed to be inside enjoying the beautiful sunshine and the green trees and the nature and the fresh air, right? We're way out of touch with all this stuff. I don't know what the answer is down the road, but what we need to find one.
Yeah. I think we've been really disconnected, and the way to get reconnected and connected with each other and connected with love is that natural way, stepping into the natural way, the natural world more often than not.
Yeah, and honestly, we have to find a way to educate these children. No one teaches children the truth, right? My parents didn't know it, so they couldn't teach it. When's it going to stop? You know, and you look at what, take sex, for example. I mean, it's the number one focus on our mind 24/7, but it's been ruined. We don't even teach kids about the sacredness of sex, relationships, and intimacy, right? And there's nothing more important in life, but now it's so perverted and so out of control, and right? And so, and sexual energy is one of the most healing energies you can ever experience, right? But we're not taught that. We're taught just the opposite. So whoever runs this system, okay, is all about, the wrong kind of sex, the wrong kind of money, the wrong kind of entertainment. We got to get back into nature and to sacred ceremonies. And, I was watching this show, what's the name of it? Whatever it is. And so, but they got married in ceremony. Okay. And they were Indians, American Indians. Yeah. And so they got married in ceremony, not like in front of the guy at the county courthouse or something. Yeah. No, it's a sacred ceremony, but you got to understand it. I was 21 years old when I first got married, and I stand in front of God and my friends and my family, and this is the only woman I'm ever going to have sex with the rest of my life. No one ever explains this shit to you, right?
Right.
It's an insane concept when you really analyze it, unless you're taught it, say 12, 13, how sacred that is. And then you're you know, odds are you're never going to marry that person until you really do a lot of work around that. That's why marriage rates are what, 50% failure or more. So we have to get to where we educate these children if we're ever going to change this system to make it more natural in the way it should be.
Yes.
Absolutely. And to that point, Mike, that's what I believe, that technology plays such an important role in that, is because how it can be used to educate. I get so much value out of YouTube. I pay money for YouTube per month. I pay for their subscription, so I don't have commercials. And it's the only streaming service I will pay for consistently, because I also learn from it. There's this book called How to Read a Book. I'm forgetting the author's name, but it was told about Jim Rohn. And I always found that was a fascinating title. And I thought, how to read a book? I thought, if you know how to read a book, then you don't need to be, if you know how to read a book, you don't need a book on how to read a book. You know? But then when you read the book, he tells you, no, it's different forms of education. Are you reading for entertainment? Are you reading for information? Are you reading to teach? And see, when you begin to change your intent, it changes how you read.
Mm-hmm.
Are you highlighting and writing the margins of books? And certain books are designed to expand your knowledge base. And to your point, Mike, and that's what I see that's really missing so much in society, and particularly within the American culture. And that's why when I moved to Washington, D.C. from St. Louis, it was a huge culture shift. But St. Louis is strictly black and white. That's all you ever saw until you went to, I came to Maryland. I got a chance to start seeing immigrants from different places, Asia, Africa, India. It didn't matter. And the different cultures they brought with them that hadn't been watered down to Americans' values. And one of the cultures that I found to be very, I would say, community oriented was the Ethiopian culture.
Mm-hmm.
We sit around and eat together in a communal space where the main thing is not a plate, but for lack of a better word, it's a large plate that's round, and everybody sits around it, and everybody has a section. They have this injera bread, and they put food in different places. And then you have injera bread to grab the food with, not utensils. So you're eating with your fingers, but everybody's there sitting together, and you're eating and you're communicating. And to your point, that ceremony there brings a different intention than American households, where now it's dinner time and everybody grabs their food and go to their own little spaces. You know? And everybody's separate from one another, so there's no communion there. So the only time the family comes and have any kind of conversation is either through an argument where we need to talk as a family, or a crisis where we need to talk as a family. And so, but the love is not coming there to say, let's just get together because we love each other. I'm happy to see it. And I remember all of us are of the age we remember where TV used to actually cut off. Like, you know, you could watch TV until 11 o'clock and then it would count down a national anthem and then static. And so even if you wanted to stay up, you couldn't. And so I think that when they talk about making America great again, people remember those times. And they get nostalgic for those times when, yes, TV should cut off. There should not be 24-hour information all the time. You know, the internet is like drinking water, being thirsty, and drinking from a fire hose. Mm-hmm. That's what the internet is with relation to information. There's so much information. How do you determine what it actually is true, which is actually valuable, who's programming me, what's the intention behind the person that put this information up, what they want me to do? Mm-hmm. And if you're not critically thinking that way, I've learned this two things. I'm a person that always believes that something is either on or off. Either you are working your plan to what you said earlier, Mike, or you're living someone else's plan.
That's right.
There is no middle ground. And if you live in someone else's plan, it's never going to be in your best interest. Right? Their plan is to make you work and have you spend. And then when you're tired working and spending, to have you take drugs to deal with the anxiety of always working and spending.
That's right.
And staying in that, and that's why I focus to your point about the 50% marriage. folks can't stay together because they haven't even learned yet who they are. So now I enter a union with you, as your point, out of ceremony. A judge married me at 21 with one witness, and she had a witness, and we got married. Didn't know what marriage meant at all.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it didn't last long. But I didn't know what love was. No one ever set me down. This is what love means. This is how you love. No, I was told, how many girlfriends do you have? If I had more than one, I was celebrated. If I had less than 4, I was teased. That's the world I grew up in. And then when people see all these kids with babies, and these children that have babies at an early age, and then wonder why, because you told me I should have a lot of women. You're not telling me what I should do with these women. I'm figuring that out on my own, and we're making mistakes, and we're just doing things that feel good to our bodies without understanding there's a rites of passage we should have been told. And that's what the indigenous communities that you're plugged into, both you all teach. But what I want to do real quick is give you all just share a thought that you might have that's on your mind before we go into our musical break.
Well, I want to comment on love because love is a very complicated subject, and there's many types of love. There's erotic love, there's family love, and there's love of God, right? And so the most powerful love is unconditional love. But how many children receive unconditional love? I would suggest to you none, right? And so I didn't even really know what unconditional love was. I didn't even know what love was. And then the first time I learned about real love, unconditional love, is when I had my first child. And then you realize, whoa, I would give my life for this child, right? That's unconditional love. Now, as that child grows up and then I develop expectations that I want this child to do this, now that love soon becomes conditional love. And so that's not love. That's an agenda. That's not healthy. So what we need is unconditional love, first for ourselves and then for our loved ones, and then try to expand that into as much humanity as you can. But you have to be very careful, because there's many people that will take advantage of that because they're not in love with themselves and they're out to get stuff from other people. So that's where it becomes a very dangerous kind of thing that we have to, the Bible says to be, innocent as a dove, but wise as a serpent. And so it's really important that we understand that, I need to love myself unconditionally. In spite of all the bullshit I've done wrong, in spite of all the mistakes I've done wrong, I need to forgive myself, love myself unconditionally, love my children unconditionally, and then eventually start to love my employees unconditionally. But now you're getting into dicey area, because I have an employee that I want to love unconditionally, but there's conditions to that employment, right? So that's where we have to broaden that scope, and it can't be all encompassing love. Now it does become love with conditions, or a relationship with certain conditions, right? But we need to love ourselves unconditionally, forgive ourselves. Same with our children, our spouses, our significant other, and then we find more peace, more freedom in that love. But we have to understand love is, and also I believe that love should be more of a verb than a noun, right? Love should be an action, okay? That I'm going to consciously go, I want to help this person over here out of love for just them, okay? Just because they're, not that they deserve it, just because it's the right thing to do and it makes me feel good to help them through this situation, right? And so that's some form of love. And that's the kind of love that I believe that the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, blesses that. Not 1x, but 10x, 20x, 50x. When you can do for somebody that's suffering and you can help them out of that and alleviate that suffering, well, by whatever means that might be just a smile, it might be a holding their hand, it might be just sitting there present and listening, it might be financial help, it might be helping them move, it could be a myriad of different things. But when you come from that pure, unconditional act of loving compassion, that's where the blessings just become overwhelming. And that's what people have to realize, that, and you don't give to get, but when you give, you're going to get. And that's a spiritual universal law, just like gravity, right? If I drop something heavy, it's going to fall to the ground every single time. Same if I help somebody that's suffering by whatever means, with a pure heart, with a pure intention, with no desire to gain, but only to serve and to love through this situation, the blessings become overwhelming at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to share that I'm just really resonant with love. And I think that it becomes a state of feeling, like feeling the authenticity of the action being aligned. Because oftentimes we do acts of love, or I can speak for myself, I've done acts of love in a self-sacrificing way. I've actually not had a full cup. I've not felt regulated, and I've still felt an obligation to serve. And in that situation, it doesn't feel like love. It doesn't feel like love to me, and it doesn't feel like love to the other person, but yet I call it love, or I have in the past. And so what I'm learning now and what I can learn to communicate is that there's a resonant field when the love is authentic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you all both just said wonderful things about love. And what's so compelling about what you're saying is I've known each of you long enough to see that you actually live it as well. You're not just saying something that sounds good and that's performative. And that what most people who I see that post videos on YouTube are only doing it to get clicks and to make money, not make change and impact other people's lives. Because if you did that, you would do it yourself first. And it would show through your actions and through your behaviors and through your intentions. And this is a perfect segue into our musical break, because the history of why I write these songs now, I don't call them songs, these frequency signals or audible parables, is that it helps me reprogram my mind. I'm able to put my thoughts to music and then listen to them while walking, and then constantly I'm reprogramming my mind. Mm-hmm. And so I felt inspired for some time to write the songs. The song has really been like 6 months in the making. And I finally got a chance to really sit down the last week and a half and really put thought and finish it. But it's a song that, and I realize as a creative person now that I have to be inspired. I can't just do it just because ego tells me I can write a song. I have to generally be inspired and then just be a vessel. And that's what I've done. So Mike, this is something I wanted to share with you for some time. So I wrote this song for you, this frequency signal, because I think you encapsulate everything you talked about love. And I wanted to have this prepared for you for this moment. So here it is.
This is not music. I said to my staff the other day, if we can do one thing, just one thing, that everybody that comes to Mountains of Hope leaves here with zero fear of death. Because then you're totally free. Nothing can hurt you. Because there is no such thing as death, and there's no such thing as birth. It's a big circle, Mike Murphy. Every sanctuary begins with a wound. The story of a man who planted his deepest grief 7,000 feet up in the Andes, and it grew into healing for every soul who climbs. 2002, she was 28 years old. Stage 3, he loved her anyway, loved her harder. 10 years together, 9 of them at war. The construct's medicine, poison in the chest, a scalpel, a burn, treat the symptom, ignore the cause. December 1st, 2010, they gave her 6 months, he never blinked, they fought to the final breath. June 2011, Margot flew home, grief stood at his door with 2 invitations, destruction or transformation. He chose to transform. Mountains of hope. Mountains of love. Mountains of healing. Mountains of joy. Mountains of gratitude. This is where healing begins. Then became a sister with no husband and no insurance. Talked down or talked over, priced out of her own life. 3 treatments could extend her life, but insurance pays for 1, so 1 is all she gets. And Mike said, here's my credit card, give her what she needs. That is the law of service, the giver rises first. Love from Margot was born from that moment. 200 women held, funded, seen and loved. Then their whisper became the seed. I wish there was a natural way to heal. He answered, mountains of hope, hey, mountains of love, hey, hey, mountains of healing, hey, mountains of joy, hey, mountains of gratitude. This is where healing began. 2016, he bought the land, 7,000 feet in the Andes outside Medellin. That energy the shamans came to bless. He built the world where the whole organism heals. Detox the body, quiet the civil war in the skull. Open the heart, forgive the inner child until you're fully aligned with your soul. Coherent healing at the mountains of hope. Sanctuary, body, mind, heart and spirit vibrating as one. Rising to love energy at 500 hertz. Intentionality in every detail. Organic gardens, 120 fruits and vegetables. Pure mineral soil, farm to table alive. A professional chef who plates each meal like a prayer. Food is presentation, food is medicine. No sugar, no salt, only love and healing. Your own immune army multiplied 400%. Return to a body detox, nourished, ready for war. Cacao sweat like fire, and leave with zero fear of death. Mountains of hope, mountains of hope, mountains of love, mountains of healing, mountains of healing, mountains of joy, mountains of gratitude. This is where healing begins. 7 days I walked this land, I came to teach. The mountains made me a student first. Todd and Pam showed me love, 30 years of covenant. I'm here no matter what. Love is action, not emotion. Angie showed me grace, fighting for her own life, while pouring healing into everyone around her. Grace personified. Jess showed me the law of service, a fully human leader vibrating at the energy of love. And my mother who flew home in March led me here to heal. I left vibrating higher than I arrived, because Mike's love for Margot built more than a sanctuary. It helped launch the fully human movement. Grief became purpose, purpose became frequency, the frequency became us. Rachel Land was healed by this man on this land that created a plan to heal others through Goddess tears. Our first deserving soul. This is what it means to be fully human. I am healed. I am healed from my pain, from my trauma, from my grief, from my mistakes. I am healed. I am healed. I am healed. The walls around my heart came down, and I found God sitting in the ruins. Margot's love is woven into every tree, every mountain view, every intentional detail. One man's grief became 1,000 souls beginning. Mountains of hope, mountains of love, mountains of healing, mountains of healing, mountains of joy, mountains of joy, mountains of gratitude. This is where healing begins. This is where healing begins. This is what it means to be fully human. Souls land softly here and learn to fly again, ancestors. Osidahun, I am broadcasting at 500 hertz. Are you picking up?
Wow, what a gift. Thank you, King. I appreciate that. It's quite moving. You captured the story perfectly, so I'm very grateful that you did that. So thank you. Very moving.
Honored to be able to share it with you, Mike.
Yeah, good job. A lot of work.
the biggest challenge, and that's where one of the biggest freedoms of releasing myself from the construct, particularly as it relates to race, is the creative energy I feel when I happen to always be the victim and look at it from a lens of things that happen to me because of this thing that I can never change. And that's a horrible existence to live the world through, and a perspective to live the world through. And now, even the conformity of writing songs, I had so much to say, and I'm thinking like, well, most songs only have 3 verses, and it just repeats the same loop every time. I can't do that in song. And so what I realized what I'm creating is an audible parable, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to share that with you all, because again, you are a big part of this journey that I've been on to become fully human. Like I said, birthing this movement, and now engaging in conversations on a daily basis with people who are literally transforming right in front of my eyes, from Rachel to Glenn to Todd to all the people we're building with, Jess and Mike. That's where, again, I want to let you know that however you want to evaluate a story you tell yourself about Mountains of Hope, this is the one you got to add to that as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Very grateful.
And Jess, I want to give you an opportunity, because this is something that I believe that you've shown me consistently around the word love since I've known you. And that's the ability to always hold space in conversations where people are talking and not being in your head. And most people do, because listening is a skill. You have to learn how to listen. And then more importantly, give space. So can you talk a little bit about that? How do you love enough to do that, but then not love so much, or maybe that's not the right words I'm using, that it actually, you bring in their energy into you, and now you're left with their negative energy that they've been dumping in those meetings.
Yeah. Well, I'll go back to the story I shared earlier of working with the children. Because when there's a moment where you actually need to take a break, and I think Mike's experiencing that break right now. You've been like going, and there's a conditioned way that you need to perform. And then all of a sudden you're like, no, I need to bust out of this pattern. There's really nothing to do during that time. Like after you've done the breakout, it's really just a time to let your body come back to a homeostasis and get present. And I think I learned it from like a neuroscientist. It was way back in like the year 2000 when I went to a class, and she was talking about the students who wouldn't be able to learn. And there was a state of mind that would be like incompatible for bringing in information. And it was when the state of mind was in a fight or flight. When you're in that irritable state, you're in a breakdown, like you're actually not taking information in, you're in a victim mentality, and you're looking for a way to survive. Right? So more than anything, what I learned was when that pattern happens, it's important to do nothing. I trained parents on that. Like, don't do anything. It's not time for a reaction. It's not time for a response. It's not time for a teaching opportunity. It's not time to learn. It's not time to create. It's actually time to stop and like just really connect with nature, connect with the breath, allow things to simmer down. It's like if you look at it from a parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system response, it's going from putting your foot on the accelerator to putting your foot on the brake. So when you put your foot on the brake, all there is presence. It's like I went from doing to actually not doing. I went from thinking to not thinking. And even if I'm thinking again, I'm going to let that one go. So it just is like a reverse operation in that. So I learned that sometimes that takes 1 minute, and sometimes that takes 8 hours. And sometimes that takes 8 months. For me, I've been through a journey that seems to be like 12 years that I'm just leaving right now, where it's like, wow, I've taken a really big breath to be present and to pause, because I didn't want to create the thing that I created in the past that was full of stress. So being in that pause for myself has allowed me to very, very deeply be present with others who are in that pause. There have been some really significant teachers that I've had, some of them children, some of them babies, and some of them people who are exiting their life. But no matter what stage of life you're in, the presence is the most important, because I've noticed that whether it's the child who's in the storm or the business owner who's going through the storm or the person with cancer at their end of life going through a storm, nobody wants to be in that storm alone. And every time I've been with that person, they've looked at me in my eyes and said, thanks for being here with me. I couldn't have done this alone. And I believe like nobody needs to be alone when you're in the storm. Like it feels like an ostracizing situation, like you're exiled or you don't belong. But the opposite is true. Those are the times when you belong to humanity and Mother Nature the most.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think back to a time when I was up in Baltimore, and before I moved there, and I was up there driving around looking at the properties of what I wanted to buy and get familiar with the neighborhoods. Back when I ate McDonald's at that time, and I stopped at McDonald's, and I usually always get the same thing: 2 double hamburgers and fries. And I ate one of the burgers, and I was saying to myself, I'm not really feeling hungry for this. For some reason, I wasn't hungry for the other burger. And so I'm driving down the street, and I see less than a block away from where I was, this man holding a sign. There's a homeless man. His sign specifically said, I would love a hamburger right now. Now, I've never seen somebody hold a sign for specifically a hamburger. You know, I've seen, give me some money, I need food, but never that specific. And so now some people who are not spiritually aware and attuned or negative will say, that's just a coincidence. But I stopped and gave that man that hamburger, and it was hot. And how can someone tell him that God didn't help him in that moment? How can someone argue with him that said that God didn't use me as a tool to help him? Mm-hmm. And so that's the point I'm making, is that I really believe that, and I think that's a mistake people who get too caught up in the religious dogmas believe. They're expecting these deities to appear out of the air, and that's what they consider to be a miracle.
Right.
Where if you really understand quantum physics and nature and humanity and sacred geometry you talked about earlier, Mike, you realize that the miracles are going to come from humans that's collaborative together, that's able to put the egos aside and say, we're going to do something together that has a higher purpose than just ourselves. We're going to do something that helps other people because we want the next generation to be better off than we were today. Mm-hmm. Like the people who were abolitionists who were willing to sacrifice their entire lives and careers to help people that had no knowing, never probably would ever meet, but just say, I'm going to stand on the side of justice. Mm-hmm. They have that kind of bravery during that time when somebody can just shoot you and destroy your business, and there wouldn't be any kind of retribution, justice for that. And you have that in your heart. For you all to be able to say, I want to impact the lives that you all have at Mountains of Hope. And I, like I said, I personally witnessed it. Because if it wasn't authentic, then I wouldn't have changed. It would just been a nice resort in a nice country. And I've been in many countries with nice resorts, but it wouldn't have had an impactful feeling that it has had. Right. And I want to close my last point and give you each an opportunity to say your last points, is that if you think about all the trips that you've had around the world that you've been, and the people I've talked to, the ones that people remember the most are the ones where they help somebody. Mm. They don't tell me when I was in 74, I went to this beautiful beach in Maui, and this beach, they don't tell me. They talk about who they helped and this person they met along that journey. Right. And that's what I wanted to share with folks. If you are ever in doubt about what to do, try to serve. And you realize you can't try to serve, you serve. And that's going to change your state. Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. So I'm led to share this in closing here. I would say a few months before Margot passed on, she'd spent some serious days in a hospital and overdid the pain medication. And for the first time ever, she said to me, my life didn't mean anything. It didn't count for anything. And so that led to about an 8-hour discussion of all the reasons why her life meant so much to many people, but me especially. But I'm reminded when I was a junior in high school, I got a job after school working for a woman who I was 17. She probably had a 23-year-old son. I was 6'2", 180 pounds. He was probably 6'3", 220. But severe cerebral palsy. I mean, literally like nonverbal, just couldn't in a wheelchair, couldn't walk, couldn't do anything for himself, right? And so my question is, did this man's life matter? I mean, he literally did nothing his entire life but to be cared for. And then his mother was this 4'10" powerhouse of a woman that made the conscious decision that I'm going to raise this child with this severe deformity of cerebral palsy, the worst I've ever seen in my entire life, and devote her life to raising this child. So did that kid's life matter? Did that? Yes, because it touched me. Okay, it triggered something in me. So every life here, no matter what it accomplishes, came here to do something. And perhaps that person volunteered to come live in that state. Perhaps that mother volunteered to come raise that child, to be an example for me and others. Who the hell knows? There's so many things going on here that we're not going to understand until we take that last breath, until we leave our body, until we're doing our life review with the powers, the real powers to be, the real spiritual masters of this universe. And then all of a sudden, we're going to connect the dots. We're going to say, oh, now I get it. Oh, now I know why that happened. Because it's crystal clear how everything led us to become this evolved conscious being. Hopefully, okay, we fulfill that mission. And if not, then perhaps we have to come back and redo it again. I say, screw, I don't want to come back and redo this anymore. I want to go to a higher frequency. So I want to learn what I'm supposed to learn. I want to do what I'm supposed to do. I want to become totally free and content with this experience. And when I leave this body next time and I'm doing that life review, I want to say, I'm ready to go to the next level, guys. Let's go. I'm ready. That's my intention of this world, this life that I'm living right now.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts, Jess?
I mean, that was just a mic drop. I won't want to like be punny about it with Mike. But that's perfect. Yes.
Well, thank you again, listening audience, and thank you, Mike and Jess, for being fully human, showing me what that word means, showing me and teaching me what love means as a verb, not the noun that we use in songs. And thank you for being present and showing up. And same for our listening audience. Thank you for tuning in to the Fully Human Trinity. Until next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's all continue to look for ways to become more fully human. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, King.
Race is a lie, a ghost in the machine, a veil over the eye. Race is a lie, a script for the managed, a reason to die. It's the dementia, the spirit, it's the glitch in the code. It's the heavy baggage on a sovereign road. Dissolve the construct, yeah. Yeah, it started as a lie, a whisper in the dark, designed to keep the brothers from finding the spark. Father is a soul whose sovereign operating system was no longer whole. It didn't pull that trigger from his fully human place. The construct had the wheel, the construct ran the race. So stop fighting your father and dismantle the disease. If a lawyer wrote the code, the architect holds the